I've seen this question pop up a number of times in the net community, and um, so the question is, well, if I have a web page with some data on it, some data is retrieved dynamically on that web page, something like that, I want to scrape it and use it inside of LabVIEW, how do I get access to that data? And frequently, one answer that pops up is, well, go ahead and embed an ActiveX control in your LabVIEW VI, navigate to that web page, scrape the data from it, go about it that way. And that's a way that'll probably give you a lot of success, but it's definitely not the first thing I'd try. It's probably not the fastest. It gives you a lot of dependencies. You're depending on that ActiveX control and a web page to load and all that stuff. Frequently, there's just by knowing a little bit about how web pages work, we can actually reduce that amount of work that we're putting on ourselves for getting that data. So this was one example posted in the community, so I thought we'd try it out. So here, the user wants to scrape the list of songs that are now playing off of a web page. And so we see this website for a radio service. I don't think y'all can hear the audio, but it was blaring for me. And so the website shows the current song that's playing. And if I click out here and go to song history, it shows a list of songs that have been playing on the website. So this is what the user wanted to get at. And a bigger problem here that prevented even the ActiveX control maybe from helping out was that this is a Flash widget. So there's this Flash thing in here, and we wanted to be able to get this list of songs. So we have, I guess you could say, an ActiveX control on this page. So if we were to load this inside of the LabVIEW ActiveX control, we'd have to do some more crazy stuff to be able to get at this data. We don't just have HTML in there, we have another ActiveX control. So in this specific case, I think we actually get a little lift from being inside of Chrome. So Chrome doesn't actually embed the ActiveX control for Flash directly. They ship their own control built on a different set of technologies that is the Flash control. So it's a little more integrated into Chrome. So actually in this case, what we could do is if we open up the Chrome Dev Tools, so I hit Control-Shift-I, I think you can go in the menus and go to Tools and Dev Tools, Developer Tools as well. So that'll bring up the Chrome Developer Tools. What I'm going to do is I'm going to refresh this page. So the Chrome Developer Tools lets us debug stuff that's going on a web page. So I'll be on the Network tab, refresh this page. Skip through some errors that occur on the page, so it's stopping whenever it runs into errors, but I'll hold this down, click the play button, cycle through the initial errors in the page. Alright, so now this Flash widget is loaded again. What I'm going to do is look at our Network tab. So I'd come by here before and I found that the widget actually loads the playlist of songs programmatically. So this takes some browsing around and discovery for yourself, but yeah, just playing around, maybe you could find that source of data. So the way I found that is by going back here, and then I'm actually going to start recording the network activity again. And I noticed that when I click song history, I actually see a bunch of network activity going on. So what I could do is go back, select some of this early stuff that was loaded in, and just start digging around. So I see there's this crossdomains.xml thing. When I click it, look at the preview, I can see the data in that network request. Nothing too exciting there. I see some search terms for Silversun pickups, Junior, and those actually look like things in the playlist, so that's kind of promising. There's actually this one right here. So this extension, let's see, it's going to this domain, Trident Digital, now playing. So it looks like a promising request. So if I click on that, look at the preview. This looks very promising. So if I expand these open, let's see what we've got. Silversun pickups. We've got, what is this, Gone by someone? Artist Junior. Oh yeah. Foo Fighters. Alright, so that's actually looks really promising. This looks like the data that we might want. So what I could do is I can either inspect this on its own, so I could see the URL, Actually, yeah, we'll just do that. So if I look at the headers tab, I could see the full request URL, and it looks like it was done with a GET request. So I'm just going to take that. Oh, look, I have a hot ready-made VI ready to go. That's actually blank, so I guess it's not that ready. So what I'll do is I saw that was a GET request, so I'll get an HTTP GET VI from the LabVIEW HTTP client. So I hit Control Space to open up the quick drop. Got a GET VI. When I drop that VI on my block diagram, create a constant on the URL input, and if I paste that URL in there, alright, nice long URL. So there's a couple parts in it. This mount name thing looks like some kind of identifier. Number to fetch sounds like the list of events to fetch. Maybe we can even sneak some more out of it if we tweak that. No cache thing. That's probably a common. I'm betting that's a based on one common web dev practice where you don't want to cache the response that's coming in for data requests. You don't want stale data, so they just throw some random number on there. Yeah, that might be what that is. I don't know. But let's see if we can get something out of doing this. So if I create my body indicator, create some headers, make sure the headers are useful to see if we're getting good responses. So if I run that, ooh, 200, okay. So the server didn't reject the request. If you remember from inside of the DevTools and pointed out, and I'll go ahead and point that out real quick, is that our request headers had a lot of things in it. So these were all the headers that were sent with our request. So our request, if we were to use Wireshark or something, would probably look very different. It would say user agent LabVIEW something or other. It wasn't requested with Flash and so on. So it looks like the server, even though we weren't giving all those headers in our request ourselves and probably have different headers, it looks like the server didn't reject us, so that's good. But that would be one of the things you might have to tweak if the server gets angry at your request. Alright, and now let's look at our body. So, looks pretty promising, a huge blob of XML data. I'm not going to go through that in here, but LabVIEW has some XML parsing VIs that we could use. But that looks pretty promising. I think this is our response data that we're looking for. Alright, so that's it. So yeah, to summarize, we don't always need to scrape the HTML on the page directly as if by having the ActiveX widget and having it browse to a web page and get the response there. We could use DevTools, find a good response in the page, find a network request that will give us the data, and then start using the HTTP palette instead to do queries on those URLs and parse the data that comes back. Alright, thanks.